Welcome back to the coffee show, everyone. I am joined by full-time idiot, part-time Brewers Cup, runner-up in Australia, and employee of mine, really good friend, home dog, all these other fantastic things. Alex Moore, welcome to the coffee show.
Oh, thank you for that. That's very kind.
Well, let's paint a picture for everyone, because recently you competed in the Australian Brewers Cup Championship, and so you and I prepped for that together. And we thought it would be a good idea to make a podcast. So if there's anyone anywhere in the world, doesn't have to be Australia, anywhere in the world, if you listen to this, you can, get the knowledge and the foundations to prepare for a Brewers Cup run through season, potentially make it through to the end. And as you did it in your first time in probably the most competitive national competition in the world, came second by a somewhat narrow margin. So, but to that end, let's just take a moment to quickly congratulate who won that, which is Simon Gautherin, who's a good friend of ours. We got some of his Apex Labs products here. We'll talk a bit through that in the next hour or so. So, but yeah, congratulations to you. You did a really good job to come second in your first time, and I think a lot of people in Australia were really shocked that your coffee choice, which was a washed geisha from Hacienda La Esmeralda. We'll talk a lot about that. But how do you feel after all this?
I think that there's such a large amount of relief after something like this. You put in so much work. Like, you've been through it before. Like, you've competed as well. All that it takes to compete, and you've been around that emceeing as well. It's a lot of work that you have to put in. It's days and nights, and you kind of have to become obsessed if you want to do well, I think, which is really, really fun. I think that we really enjoyed that process, kind of preparing for this. But it's such a nice thing for it to be finished and have some sort of closure regarding that. Whether or not you win or you lose, it's really nice to go through that and for it to be finished. And and to meet all those competitors was just such a great part of that experience, because a lot of those people I'd never met before, and all those kind of people who work for ASCA. So that was just really nice to be a part of that. And I'm kind of excited for the next one,
Yeah. It was really good. It's a strange kind of situation where you are competing against each other, and you do want to beat those people you're competing against, but there's a lot of camaraderie because they're, such lovely people. I think people are willing to help other competitors out here and there. Like, we, lent Simon scales or whatever, and, he gave us minerals and stuff like that. So it's just a lot of that stuff goes on during the competition weekend, and there's a lot of everyone wants people to do well. So that's what I like about the coffee community, and particularly in Australia. And but there's also rivalry. Everyone wants to beat everyone. I won't name names, but there's some organizations that really want to get it over other organizations. Some companies really have it out to beat other companies. But it's a really good community, and all of that what we just spoke about makes it so good. But let's start from your regionals sort of journey. So in Australia, there's a regional competition, and the best performers in those go on to qualify for the nationals. So it's not just one; there's two competitions, and the regionals took a slightly different format this year. Maybe you want to talk about that.
Yeah. So I had never competed in this kind of competition before, but what was so attractive about competing this year in regionals was that a lot of the kind of the barriers to entry had been taken away. The community coffee championships was the new format this year, and what it did is it took away kind of those things that stopped other competitors from having a huge advantage, and the people who didn't have the financial backing or could access those really high end coffees. It meant that everybody was kind of on the same level playing field, which is really good. So a lot of new competitors came in. I think it was one of the highest turnouts for Brewers regionals, I think, ever in Victoria. So that's why we discussed entering as well. And I thought it was a really good opportunity, and kind of to throw your hat in the ring is a really great chance, I think, especially with the new format, and to meet all these really great brewers as well, which is really good.
It was what's interesting about it as well is kind of like a hybrid compulsory in a way, because it was compulsory where you brought your own coffee and did a routine, I guess you could say, because everyone had the same water, same kettles, same brewers. We had a couple of options for brewers. Everyone had 2 options for cups. So I was really skeptical initially with that sort of model, but I think having lived through it and like the intention is not to really support previously successful brewers to be even better. It's to invite other people in and not be discouraged and make a genuine competition out of it.
Yep.
Some people might argue, well, it's not really competitive, but actually I find it far more competitive, because there were some people this year that, you usually see in the top 6 of the country that didn't make it at all. So, and I feel for them, but I think the outcome for the competition itself was actually good.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many brewers that would go into the regionals, especially, that might have been home brewers, or they might have been people who haven't worked in coffee for quite as long, but they have just as much of that skill and that tenacity to go into a competition and do really well, which is a great thing that the new format has done, I think.
Yeah. So what was kind of the hallmark of your regionals routine?
Well, it was kind of something that came up when we were working at the shop. So it was kind of this idea that, what we do at Project Zero is that we're serving coffees that aren't super expensive, but you get an extremely good experience and using co-fermented coffee, right? Which I know that not everyone's for that, but we've always been open about it. And we think that it can really create a great experience for people. So taking that into competition, we thought, well, what if we could take a co-ferment to a comp? I mean, I don't think anyone's done that before. It's a bit of a risk. I don't think anyone's done that before us, but taking a really good coffee and kind of mixing it with a co-ferment, and then talking about how much of a better experience you can get with that price tag of a Panama Geisha or some of these really high end, like super hard to get coffees.
So what would you? I think the tagline that you used was a 90-point experience without the 90-point price tag.
Yeah.
So the idea was to go in with like coffee that I think came in like the green coffee itself was like less than $1 for one brew.
Yeah.
So it's probably like $2 or $3 brewed, and you whack your profit margin on top of that. So it was like really cost effective coffee, and you came third. In that, right?
Yeah.
So what were the 2 coffees?
It was a strawberry co-fermented Caturra, and then we mixed that with a black honey Mosto fermented Sidra, which both those coffees are excellent, and mixing those 2 together, it was a really, really yummy coffee, but without that huge cost,
Yeah. And then I think in getting the feedback from that, one of the interesting things that the judges said for you was that when the coffee cooled, it kind of really degraded, and then which kind of changed your thinking to the nationals.
Yeah. So like going from interregionals, like the format that we kind of looked at was like, let's get a really great coffee, let's get a really great story, and let's just try and see how far we can take that. And then moving from like after we finished regionals, we had to prepare for nationals, and we wanted to take the same idea into that. But I think that there's just a bit of it's tricky to work with co-ferments in this kind of setting, because compared to other coffees, they don't quite cool as well is what we've found. And that's the feedback that the judges gave us as well. So that kind of changed our approach heading into nationals, because we thought, well, we need to find something that has the same amount of clarity and can really tell a good story as well.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you use that word clarity, because I think the biggest thing that we learned, and we'll probably touch on this in further detail later, but like having clarity, which isn't just like having cleanness in your coffee, it's like the most obvious flavors, because that's like the most important thing of this competition, right? It's like, does the coffee taste like what you say it does? That's like what most of the points come from. And so that's like when you're choosing a coffee, that's like priority number 1, 2, and 3, in my opinion. So, but we'll touch on that a bit later. So I think, our sort of approach once the nationals came around was, all right, well, how do you win? Like, we don't want to just go and, get a participation ribbon or get knocked out of the first round. Like, what is required to win? So do you want to sort of talk about like the changes that we made to the routine and what you made to the routine and the basis for which we did it?
Yeah. So, I mean, moving into nationals, we really like the idea of taking that co-ferment still. We really wanted to make that work. And so we tried some different things and we did some mixing of some different coffees together, and we really wanted to make that idea work. But we kept running to the same issue. Like the coffee which wouldn't cool as well and didn't quite have the same clarity. So, and when we think about coffee and we think about clarity, I think a lot of baristas think about washed coffee. Washed coffee is just synonymous with like clarity, a clean aftertaste, and a really, really good experience. And so we thought, how could we work that in and still have like a really strong routine? So we ended up looking at how the fundamentals of coffee are important to us. You know, we all understand that like grinding coffee is really important, and we all understand that like your water chemistry is important, and where the coffee is from is really important. So we wanted to try and take those things, and we thought maybe we can elevate those, and that's where we came up with the idea of dry ice. Like you have experience with dry ice, so we talked about it, and I thought that it's a really good option. So we tested it, and side by side, like the coffee just tastes so sweet.
Yeah.
So much clarity, and it's just like a marked improvement. And it's the same thing. It's the same grind. It's the same coffee, but just and after doing that research about it was just like we couldn't steer away from it.
So you pretty much ditched the entire routine from regionals and made a new one.
Yeah, started again.
Yeah. And so, and if we can talk a little bit about that, that is like, so it was broken into 3 stanzas, I guess you'd like. So we spoke about firstly physics, and we related that to grinding, and we used dry ice. Then to chemistry, we related that to water. And then biology, the coffee farm against that sort of thing. And we kind of associated each stanza with 2 elements of the score sheet. So the 6, divide that by 3, so there's 2 for each. Which was like linking everything to the score sheet, which kind of when you're doing speech writing, like was really important, because like the weird thing about competition is that when you're writing a speech or talking, everything needs to make sense. Everything needs to support your overall theme, and all the choices that you make, like the coffee, the gear, the way you roasted it, it all needs to kind of synergize, I guess you could say. So let's start with physics and what you did there.
So I think that part of what I really enjoy is watching coffee competitions, because I haven't competed very much until this year. But something that I always enjoyed when I was watching people's routines was that ones that were simple and easy to understand for everybody were the most enjoyable to me. So I thought breaking it down into the physics part of it, of grinding coffee, like we all understand that we all tested different grinders. Like during the process of building this routine together, we thought, let's test a lot of grinders. Let's see what the difference is in between them. And you can get really, really good returns from lots of different grinders. Like the Option O grinder was amazing. Like Sam at Option O was able to help us with a grinder for us to practice with and to work on, and which was just invaluable. But then we thought, how can we elevate that? So that dry ice became the thing that we wanted to do. But it's tricky when you're building your routine. You want to deliver all your deliverables on the score sheet. You want everything to apply. Something that like we spoke about, that Anthony Douglas does really well, is that he applies everything that he says in the routine, and he applies it to the score sheet.
Yeah, no one ever has done it better than him.
No one. And he was someone that we got a lot of inspiration from into this. So that's something that we wanted to take out of that. So trying to link those things to like sweetness and clarity was something that was really big. And those things are important in the score sheet. And you want the judges to be able to like tie everything together, you know?
Yeah, and the dry ice thing is really interesting. So we posted a video about it the other day. So basically what we did was put coffee in test tubes, put it in dry ice. So you basically bury it in dry ice fully, so it's totally surrounded. And we did it for a minimum of 3 hours. And then you grind it straight out of the grinder. So it just shatters so much easier, and your grind profile is so much better. And you let it thaw after that for about 25 minutes so that the actual grounds get up to temperature. So when you're brewing, you're not just reducing the temperature of the slurry. You're like you can manage those variables sort of thing.
Which is tricky to do because everything is so timed, you know, for your routine. everything to every single paragraph is timed to your routine, and you want to make sure you get into this part by this point. So managing something like that, it gives you a very, very tight window. So hence why we did so much testing for this kind of thing, because we had to make sure like we got all the temperature gauges, we make sure that everything was at the temperature, and we watched how coffee would cool, and like we were testing it on every minute. And something that we'll probably share as well for future is that like when we were testing side by side, and all the data that was really important for us to understand, like taking a scientific approach for the routine required us to take that outside the routine as well. Like that's what we did when we were working on things and workshopping, and that I think that really yielded a great result.
Yeah. And then, shout out to Dr. Christopher Hendon here, whose research we kind of referenced in the routine and, I've admired for a long time. Just freezing coffee is awesome, man.
Yeah. I mean, no one does it better.
Yeah,
right?
it's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Christopher Hendon, he's like a name that's like synonymous with like coffee quality, right?
Yeah.
You say Christopher Hendon, people know water, people know grinding. Like, I think he's one of the 4 horsemen of coffee,
He is. We need to put more respect on his name.
Yeah, we really do.
Who are the other 3 horsemen of your 4 horsemen?
Oh, I mean, Matt Perger's up there. And, Jamie Thompson's one of the 4 horsemen as well.
He's an underrated one as well. Like he's probably like one of the, I think he's got a chemistry degree, and he's hyper intelligent.
Yeah.
And his coffee knowledge, I think, is really underappreciated.
It's second to none, I think. And he's the person who doesn't want the attention for it. Like he's so involved in everyone else's work and wants them to be pushed forward for them to be able to do as best they can. Like he's completely selfless. He's almost kind of like the best ambassador for specialty coffee that I know. Like and the regionals result that we had, and then following into this nationals, he was someone that we were in contact all the time with.
Yeah.
He was someone that we were trying to, that we were getting just invaluable information from.
Yeah, if you need a coach for World Brewers Cup in Brussels next year, would not be a bad investment if you're listening to this to just shout Jamie Thompson a flight out to Brussels and just pay him a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
It'll help you win. Let's move on to sort of the water chemistry element of your routine now. So chemistry, we linked that to, I think, acidity and mouthfeel on the score sheet.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I mean, we've been playing with minerals and stuff like that for a very long time. I think you've been making your own water and things like that. And I don't think that it would have been possible for us to do this kind of thing without use of really high quality minerals. So someone that we know and that we've worked with for a long time is Simon, the number 1 Brewers Cup champion.
Mr. Apex Labs.
Mr. Apex Lab himself. I don't think that anyone's done more for Brewers anywhere than he has, really. Like he's kind of made good coffee accessible wherever you go.
Yeah, that's a good call, and something that I really learned in the last week of prepping for your routine was that the quality, like you think about the price tag for these, right? If you get the full set, it's like $150 for Australian for 3 bottles of minerals, right? And some people would say is excessive, right? But I really learned last week why they cost more. Because we bought some minerals off Amazon and from some other places that were like we were going to try and see if making it fresher, for example, was better. And we were quite shocked by what we found when we tested it with the water hardness pen. So what that measures, like how much, I guess, mineral content is in your water. And so you put it in and it'll say 60, for example. When we tested the other minerals, so say, for example, we played around with potassium bicarbonate, calcium chloride, silica, and magnesium, the purity of what we got from a few different products as well was so low, was so much lower than it should have been. And then when you use these, like the purity is, and I was talking to Simon about it, he was saying like, it's basically like when you use the droppers to the charts that they provide to you. I think I'll see if there's one in here. So they'll give you, there is. They're not sponsored. This is not a sponsored content, by the way, but I'm just to help you homebrewers out and barista competitors or brewers competitors. Like they've got a chart here where if you put the amount of drops or the amount in grams, like what you expect ppm to be, and it was pretty much 100% accurate.
Yep.
And I was talking to someone about it, and he was saying the purity of his minerals. So like the supplier that he uses to make like the concentrates and stuff like that is like it's very high cost because he gets the best ingredients, and then it kind of shows up.
Yep.
And we ended up using tonic
Yep.
for your coffee, which like really elevated the acidity of the wash geisha. What was your experience like working with that? And you agree?
Yeah. So I mean, that's something that we've kind of taken for making minerals ourselves. That we've always tried to make them fresh, and understood that the shorter you have them sitting around, the better, right? But the consistency of the ppm that you could achieve was so varied, right? So when we were going in and we were testing and trying to take that same methodology that we took with grinding coffee side by side, doing all of our data, we noticed that side by side, one of these, like the Apex, was consistently the same. Every time we'd test it with our TDS pen to test our water hardness, it was always the same. Every time we would add the same amount, we'd always get the same result, which is, as a brewer, and especially in like competitions, that's so important for you to be able to get really consistent results and really high quality results. And I think that's why I think Apex has just been invaluable in that regard.
Yeah, he's actually genuinely done something for coffee. Like all the attention to water as well is excellent. But what he's done for home brewers around the world, like there's so much value in getting a set of droppers. Like I'll never buy minerals off Amazon or like anywhere and try and make my own water again, because time wise, accuracy wise, purity wise, like it's just not worth it. He's made these too good. Again, not sponsored content, but Simon, if you want to sponsor.
But I mean, it's just like it reminds me of something that Brewed by Jay, he said about this, is that such high quality minerals have left coffee roasteries with no other options. Like they really have to make sure that they're doing a really good job, because home brewers now, they have all the correct water. Home brewers, cafes, they all have access to the correct water kind of compositions. So there's nothing to hide behind now.
Yeah, and I would say grinding, dose, or grind setting, dose, time, like water is just as important as all of those things. Yeah. Like it really is. If you're a home brewer and you want to make your coffee better, like right after listening to this podcast, improve the water in your coffee machine, improve the water in your like filter brew setup. You will not regret it. Chemistry in your routine was all about that. Yeah. Let's talk about biology.
Yep.
So how do we kind of speak about biology?
Well, so we're talking about, if you haven't caught the routine, we talked about how the terroir of a place kind of affects a coffee. And we were so lucky that we got to serve one of the best coffees in the world from one of the best regions in the world, the hills of Boquete in Panama, where Esmeralda is. It's like such a beautiful area that produces some of the best coffees. And for us to be able to do that justice, we needed to combine everything that we knew as baristas. We had to combine something like physics, and we had to combine chemistry with that to make such a good quality coffee. And for us to be able to understand what's going on at the farm is, because I never really quite did my research into what it is exactly about the potassium in the soil, the volcanic soil, as well as like the cool night temperatures and what they actually develop in coffee cherries. So understanding what's actually going on there to understand why it's such a special place.
Yeah, and then like you think of all the plant life, right? Like and the insect life. I think Kai Jansen was on this podcast a few months ago, and he was talking about how like he's got a theory that beetles transfer nutrients between and they've got like yeasts and stuff like that that really assist like coffee growing and all that sort of stuff, which is very fascinating. But we kind of related biology exclusively to the coffee's growing conditions. And the coffee itself was a cold wash geisha from Hacienda La Esmeralda, if you missed that. And the lot was called Valle. I called it Valle on film a few times, but I was corrected there. But it was like, it was an incredible coffee. It was just so incredible. And like, again, going back to the word clarity, there was no really debating what it tasted like. And it was yellow nectarine, apricot, and jasmine. Just so clean, and it tasted like that at all stages as well. It was a bit of weird coffee. It kind of like tasted like that at all 3 stages. And the judges absolutely loved it. You know, your coffee scored the highest in the open service, and it was like, I think in Australia it's become such a trend for people to use naturally processed coffees and heavily fermented coffees. And it was interesting hearing a lot of the other competitors come up to you after and say, "Oh, well, it's really fascinating that you chose that coffee and that you felt like you could win with it," because a lot of people feel like in Australia the judging has heavily favoured naturally processed coffees. But your judges came and thanked you for using a washed coffee. So it was an interesting paradigm.
Which was also just as a competitor, because a lot of things are about score, right? But as a competitor, it was really nice, even from just a barista's kind of perspective, that it's nice to be able to serve something for someone that they really enjoy. Not only does it score well, but that the judges really enjoyed it. Like they came up to us and they said, "Thank you very much. It was a really pleasant cup of coffee," which I think that like that's worth just as much as all the scoring or anything like that for me.
Yeah, it was. And like I feel like there's this compulsion, again, for people to use naturally processed coffees. And I couldn't even tell you, I think the last 5 winners in a row have all used, like a naturally processed coffee. So I can see why people trend there, but it's really not required, to be honest, because like, again, clarity is what you're serving unbelievable. I think some of the best coffees that we've had in the last year were probably this coffee, and there was a CM washed from Mikava that Matt Winton made for us in the last year or two.
Oh,
amazing.
amazing.
That was an incredible coffee. That would also just stand out in a brewer's routine. That was man, I could have a few more of those.
And it's not to say that naturally processed coffee can't be clean. Like, because there's so many coffees that are really amazing, and that like I tasted a lot of the competitors' coffees, and they're all amazing, like all in their own right, just delicious. But I think that like sticking to your guns and believing in what you serve is really important. I think. I mean, we wanted something that has a lot of clarity and that has like a good story that we can tell about it. And I think that what's important is that you've got to feel the story behind it. I think that that's really important for a competition. That I felt really strongly about regionals, the story and the meshes that we're talking about, how co-ferments deserve their place. The same thing here, in that I really believe that washed coffee is still has its own place. I still think it's still such a great option for people to use. And I heard like there were some people who came up to us after that they said, "You've given me inspiration to actually use coffee, like washed coffee again," which I'm really happy that, you know, us sticking to our guns and believing in what we serve and believing what we want to share is inspiring other people to do the same.
Yeah, but it was just a fantastic coffee, and it was kind of, let's talk about how we sourced it, because it was very interesting the way that came about, because there were 2 options that we were really gunning for before that, and they both fell through for different reasons. So we couldn't get the coffees we initially wanted. So it happened once. We thought for a few months that's what we're going to use. Then it fell over. Then we had a pivot option, and we were quickly alerted that also wouldn't come through. So when I was in Milan, that kind of went down when I was sitting there watching World Barista Championships, and sitting right next to me was Rachel Peterson from Hacienda La Esmeralda, and she was watching someone using her coffee at the World Barista Championships. His name was Hiroki, Japanese competitor. And, I just kind of said, I was like, "Oh, Rachel, I'm having a bit of trouble. Do you reckon you can help us out? Have you got like a small amount of something we could get from you?" And she said, "Yeah, I've got a few options." And we spoke about it a little bit, and she offered a natural. I said, "Oh, do you have a washed?" And then I was like, "Yeah, no worries," and sent it to us, and it got here really quick. Coffee from Panama to Australia, even getting samples is quite slow sometimes. But yeah, was just a hell of a coffee. Like what a harvest they've had, at Esmeralda. Like, obviously they broke the record for price this year as well. And then, just a totally unbelievable coffee. It was also like a lot more textural than I've ever had for a wash geisha.
And I think there's a lot of really fun, funky new processes that are out. And we've been trying them over the last 2 years, like a lot of baristas have. And some of them are really amazing and really delicate and can be really clean. But it really just goes to show you that Esmeralda also sticking to their guns and serving what they believe in as well.
Yeah, they've never really pivoted and felt compelled to like do this like they do some experimental processing, and I guess your coffee was that, but it doesn't really deviate too far from what the raw product is. I feel like what they do really only, I guess, complements or adds to what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's no shot at it. Like the coffee industry is great because we do have experimental processes, and I wouldn't want to get rid of those by any means. And I love producers that do those things, but this is also what makes Esmeralda unique because they've always taken their sort of that path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly right.
So I found that just to be amazing. And then the way we brewed it was interesting because that also took a bit of a risk. And we used the UFO brewer, and shout out to Jay Kim who provided us those for free. Really sorted us out after learning that you wanted to use it in the Brewers Cup, and sent us a bunch of brewers and a couple of different papers to choose from. It's quite amazing how big a difference the paper made as well, because you were given the standard UFO paper and the Sybarist UFO paper. And we, for the wash coffee, we overwhelmingly enjoyed using the UFO paper standard.
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'd never tried the UFO brewer before this. But you know, like there's a guy who works with us. His name's Sam Sai, and he's always been a big fan of the UFO. And so he brought it in, and I brewed some coffee on it. And this was during the process of us looking around for brewers, and I tasted it. I just thought, this is amazing. And so I gave you a call. I got on the horn with you and I said, you've got to come down. I've got to brew some coffee. And you had the same reaction, right? It just gives you such great clarity to coffees and allows you to develop like such a lovely acidity and like really like a great structure to almost every coffee. And when you combine that with something like Sybarist filters, you've kind of got something for either way. You've got something for your natural, more funky coffees, but then you've also still got something to really make wash coffee shine. So we just thought, regardless of what we're serving, this brewer is amazing.
It was, and it wasn't without its risks though in a competition format, because it kind of makes coffee brew a bit slower, and especially with a coffee so dense as yours was. Like the thing about using coffees from Esmeralda, and I would say it's like a pretty typical trait of their coffee, is that it's extraordinarily dense. So when you're roasting it and when you're brewing it, you really have to tailor your approach. Yeah. And so the draw time was quite slow. It was like, I think the best brew for you was like 4 minutes 10, 4 minutes 20. Yeah. Which is like, you know, in a cafe setting, that's even a bit long. Yeah. And in a brewer's cup setting, it's very long. Yeah. Like that's a lot longer than most people would want to brew for. But if you did it, it paid off, and it was just like so unbelievably amazing. So that was kind of an example of, you know, if we've got a bit of a undertone to what we're talking about today, is like things supporting each other. You've got this incredibly dense coffee that really needs to be brewed for quite a while compared to a lot of other brewers, coffees. And then it's supported by this coffee that really, that's where it performs best. Yep. Like in our experience, like if you've got a slow drawing coffee, this will make it probably draw even slower, but like make it taste unbelievable.
Yeah. And going through that process of learning all these things and how these things kind of can all work together is one of the things that is such a great part of competition. Because nothing else quite pushes you quite like that. You know, you learn so much. Like I learned so much from you when we were kind of workshopping things and learning how to brew different ways and trying to get coffees that would to taste a certain way. I think that nothing pushes you more than that. And understanding how all those elements work together was not only was it really informative, but we found it really fun because it's something that we can bring to the cafe as well, and like for customers to understand as well. Like it's not just like doesn't just apply to competition. This applies to everywhere, at farms, at cafes, and everything.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, which kind of we can segue into here, is like how much data we took of the coffee. So there's probably like on our laptop, there's probably like 70 entries of different brews that we did for like comp dial-in sort of thing, but we would have made hundreds of brews. Yeah. And then of the competition coffee, we only had 2 kilos. Yeah. So there was only 2 kilos. So we used a link roaster to roast it, and that was 100 gram batches to roast. Shout out to Gabriel Tan, who lent us his link roaster, and shout out to Jerome Rosler, who gave us a few profiles to play with. Yep. And that's an incredible tool. But what we would do is we would literally take down the dose, the recipe we use, the time it took, the grind setting we used, what grinder we used, the water composition, the ppm of that water, how much grams in each pour, the temperature of the water, did we use the wave machine on the water or not? Like I think there was probably like 25 to 30 different actual data sets that we took for each coffee. And then we could use that as a reference for like what we needed to improve.
Yeah.
And so where we're going with this is like, I think 90 to 95% of that effort or of your effort went into making the best coffee possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And using all those data points is really helpful for us to be able to reproduce these things. So if we had a certain roast that we really liked, we could look at, and we would rate all these things that, for people who didn't, these people who are listening, they might not see it, but part of the things that we'd record would be things like what we thought of the coffee, the tasting notes we had, and then a total rating of a thing. So we'd kind of describe it, if we liked it or not, and we'd kind of give it a rating. So if we had something that we really liked, so we thought we were kind of on the right track, we could go back and repeat it. But we had 30 or like 20 different data points that we would be changing. So when you change one of those things, you could only do one of those things at a time to make sure that we're kind of testing and making sure that we're looking at one difference and one change, keeping everything else the same.
Yeah, and one of the things I think became really important, which we kind of this is probably the biggest struggle for you for preparing for this with the coffee was like letting it age, because we didn't have enough time to let coffee age. We had to figure out, is this the best comp routine, comp coffee? So I think what you served in the finals was 5 days old, which is a lot fresher than most people would do for brewers. But we I think we got the coffee just under 3 weeks away from the competition. So less than 3 weeks, we got the 2 kilos of coffee. Then we had to dial it in. So
I think it was something like 19 days. We had to
19 days.
We got the coffee, and then from then it was go time. Roasting the coffee, tasting the coffee, testing.
And 12 roasts of it weren't any good, really. So like, this is my first time roasting.
Oh, we were learning.
Yeah, and we were learning, but like it took a while to learn how the coffee wanted to be brewed. It was really interesting because, again, going back to this, it's so dense. So we ended up using the Link roaster, and it kind of needed a profile where you got to your top temperature quite quickly. And then I think it was 9.8% development time after first crack.
Quite a high temperature as well.
Yeah, it got to quite a high temperature. But that was far and away the best roast profile we got. And then, tinkering with the airflow as well. Like that was one thing that I didn't really realize you could play with on the Link. So, increasing the fan pressure. So if you've got a Link, you can dial up the fan speed, and that will, that'll give you that'll get you to first crack quicker because the extra airflow.
And I think this competition and this preparation just really opened our eyes. I know for me, especially, that the platform that brewers and baristas have is all based on and all comes from the coffee that's roasted and how well it's roasted and how experienced that roaster is. And it really just goes to show that like the platform, the foundations that we need for our industry to really continue to thrive. And I think that we're so lucky in Melbourne that we have some of the best coffee roasters in the world for advice and just for access, especially because this is the first time that we've started to learn to roast. And I think now we really want to learn to roast now. That's probably the next thing for us.
Well, it's a quote I have is that good coffee brewing cannot outdo bad coffee roasting, right? And so you just can't, because like it just cannot be done. I don't know what analogy to use here. Like it just cannot be done.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
So like can you make it slightly better? Yes, but like can it be good? No. So good roasters are very valuable in the coffee.
It's like, when we were roasting our coffee, we were really struggling with how to roast this coffee because we're learning all these new things, and we're roasting such a high quality coffee. So every decision that we make to change is really important. So we had to get help externally. So we had Barista Haney that was invaluable in giving us some direction for us to go with, and he knows that thing really, really well. So just calling him and he just knew all this off the top of his head, which is really impressive.
Yeah, well, and just to give a shout out to him as well, we texted him and said, we're having some issues here. You got any pointers? Straight away, called us, talked us through for like half an hour. These are the things you do. So another example of how, people are so generous with their time and how he's done great things. And, he also does a lot of great things with his Kneewares cups. So if you need some of those, get onto him.
Yeah. And Jerome Rosler.
Yeah.
One of the best small batch roasters in the world, you always say.
Probably the best.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if it's 100 grams or less, like the man you need to talk to is Jerome Rosler from Nucleus Coffee Tools.
Yeah.
So
he's the man.
He roasted, I asked him to roast the best of Panama samples that I got earlier in the year. So that was, and he did a smashing job.
Unbelievable.
And it was pretty much the same profile that we used for what you used. But he's unbelievable at what he does. What I want to go back to like sort of some of the things that we learned for this, and we've spoken a lot about how we like to wash coffee and all those sort of things. So, what's your approach when you're choosing a competition coffee?
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. I think that when we looked at coffees, we're looking for something that's unique. I think, and something that really like kind of speaks to us, if that makes sense. So when we were tasting coffees, we'd be looking around at, does this kind of relate to what we like, the story that we want to tell? Because I think to do a good routine, you have to believe in what you're serving. And some really good kind of inspiration for us was someone like David Flood, and someone that we kind of talk about a lot. He's an amazing competitor, and just a top bloke. And he really believes in what he serves. And I think that was something that I took out of regionals and applied it to nationals, in that you've got to have a lot of conviction. You've got to have a really strong story behind and a connection with that farm. So the coffee, obviously it has to taste good. Like you said, decision 1, 2, and 3, but to believe in what you're serving and to really feel it during the routine, I think is so important. So shout out to him, because I think that with in such a short amount of time, he's become kind of like a northern star. And I've said this to him as well. He's kind of like a northern star in the coffee world, because he's just so genuine. He's got like the heart of a poet, and he's got away with the words, that guy. But I guess to add my own 2 cents there is like, going back to clarity, like clarity. Like if it just needs to really be obvious what the flavors are. Yeah.
And there's been a number of coffees that I've had since where it's like, even in all my years and with all my experience drinking coffee, I don't really know what this tastes like.
Yep.
Like it's actually pretty easy to find yourself in that situation. Whereas like if you've got a coffee where it's like, there is no doubt that this tastes like these things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the most important things when you're sourcing the coffee, right? Like, can it blow you away? Is one thing, but having the amount of time, we got lucky with roasting that we got some good advice from some good people, right?
Yep.
But like if you were starting again from scratch,
Yeah.
Having enough coffee to roast in a variety of different ways, like that would be invaluable experience. So if anyone's listening to this and you've got 20 kilos of coffee and you're roasting on a 100-gram roaster, you've got a fair bit of runway.
Yep.
Or if you're roasting on a bigger roaster, you might need more. But I guess when you're choosing a coffee, 1, do you believe in it?
Yeah.
2, does it have the clarity? And 3, like, can you profile it well enough? Would be probably some of the top suggestions.
Yeah. I mean, like looking at Jack Simpson's coffee that we tried this week, which is just amazing. That coffee has so much clarity. I mean, everybody who tastes it, they can go, yep, we know exactly what this tastes like. And the same thing goes with the Esmeralda that we got to serve. It's just very clearly jasmine, very clearly stone fruit, and you couldn't deny it. I think that's really important, because you need to be able to stand up in front of judges and you need to be able to defend that you think it tastes like that, because that's what wins you points,
Yeah, 100%. And oh man, I'm kind of just having a moment thinking about the coffee again. It was pretty awesome, but like, I think towards the end of it, we were kind of confused. Is this citrus or is it sort of apricot? And another good exercise to do actually was calibration.
Yeah.
So, trying some fruits so that you can actually give good flavor notes. So one thing that we did one night was I went and bought some peaches, some nectarines, some yellow nectarines, some apricots, some dried apricots, a couple of different teas. And we brewed it, we tried it all. And, you know, that was actually like a really, really good exercise to give accurate flavor notes.
Yeah. Because I mean, you have to narrow things down so much. Like the more tasting notes in a competition that you give, the more difficult it is to defend them. So having something like a calibration allows us to kind of rule all these things out. And I'd recommend to every barista to do this kind of thing, even regularly. Buy those fruits, buy some papaya, see what it tastes like. Because I think baristas get in a trap of that they taste a lot of coffee, but that the tasting notes that they would be using, that they might not have tasted that in a while. You know, go buy yourself some mandarins and
bergamot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's right. So you can kind of know it, because I think that's super important. So you can rule those things out and rule those things in, and yeah.
Well, and just on this as well, like I think we're like, again, supporting that idea of applying most of your effort to making the best coffee. It's not a speech competition. It's not I brought this device competition. It's a coffee competition. Whoever makes the best coffee wins the competition. So all those other things are like, they're somewhat important. They are important, and you've got to do them well. You need to. But like focusing on making the best coffee needs to be priority number one. And that was something I really learned in Milan from Jack Simpson, because, you know, there were on the evening that he finished his final routine, right? So usually they announce the winner on the third day of the barista competition, but on this occasion they did it on the fourth to commemorate 25 years of the World Barista Championship. He had a horrible night because he thought he had made a mistake that lost him the World Barista competition. We all went out to dinner and he was distraught. He thought he was looking like a ghost. He was so upset. He thought he had lost it. But then the announcements were made the next day. Jack Simpson, winner of the World Barista Championship. And we like, he got to see his score sheets. 6 out of 6 for espresso. If you get 6 out of 6 for espresso, it's over. You win. Like, done. And then 5.5 for milk, and I think 5.5 for signature drink. You cannot be beaten if you do that. And it's the same for brewers. Like, I mean, you got mostly 8s and a couple of 7s, which is very good and respectable score. You were the winner of the open service, but you know, the compulsory is probably what let you down, what let us down. And you know, we'll get into that in a sec, but just to finalize the point, like the coffee is the most important thing. Apply most of your effort to making the best coffee. And you'll do well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a great example of that was that on the first day of competition, like I had some nerves going in, and like I didn't feel really prepared for the first day, but I focused on making sure that the coffee tasted really good. So there was some hiccups during the routine. There was a couple of things that I think we didn't think went how we wanted them to do, how we wanted them to go. Sorry. So we focused on making sure that the coffee itself was really, really singing, because I think that's the point. That's what we're there for, right? We want to make sure we're serving a good coffee, and that's the priority.
If you're listening to this as well, the ASCA actually streamed the first day and the third day. So if you want to go watch Alex's first run through, which is on day one, it's like an 8-hour video because they streamed or whatever. So you'll have to do a bit of scrolling. And then go watch the day 3 one. Look at the difference. Like, I mean, you kind of unraveled a little bit in the first one, but you focused on making the good coffee, which has got you through. And then, you really ironed all those kinks out. The second day, so you finished compulsory first in the morning on the second day, and then I told you need to get out of here and go practice more. And then you came back the third day and you crushed it. So if you want to compare the pair, contrast those two, I would really recommend it, because that's ended up being what got you quite a good result. But let's talk a little bit about compulsory now, and that's where Simon really shined. I think I heard from a few judges that they were, blown away by how well he made this. Made this coffee, and he told us that he had done a lot of training for compulsory, focused a lot of effort.
I think I heard from them that they said that they did, talking to Julian and Carlos, like the amount of preparation they did was something along the lines of 450 rounds of compulsory service.
Wow.
Which is just unbelievable. And it really just goes to show you that you can really prepare for these things, and like there's no such thing as over preparing.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, compulsory makes champions, right? Like this year, there was a lady, her name's Alicia Holmes.
Yeah.
She was the Singaporean Brewers Cup champion. She had the highest scoring open service coffee, I think, ever in Brewers Cup at the world level. And it was just far and away the best, but she came fourth because something happened in compulsory and it just wasn't a good outcome.
Yep.
There's a guy named David Flood. No, not David Flood. David Train.
Yep.
In I think it was 2018 in Australia, he used an anaerobic coffee from Finca Hartmann, scored 9s on everything. Like could not go higher.
Yeah, wow.
Came third.
Yeah.
Compulsory wasn't good.
Yeah.
So compulsory is what makes champions. So if you're ever preparing for Brewers Cup and you think, oh yeah, I'll do whatever for compulsory, bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, we did a lot of preparation for compulsory as well, and I think that served us well. But I think that there's no substitute for preparing a lot for compulsory, because it'll always make you a better brewer, which will always help your open service. So if you're always so for people who don't know how compulsory round works, you get given a random coffee. You bring all of your own brewing gear. You brew on the same order as everyone else, same grinder, and you just have 38 minutes to test the coffee and taste it and grind it and brew it however you'd like to do it. And then you have 7 minutes to brew it.
Yeah.
For the 3 judges. So you need to make the best coffee you can. So it's kind of like you've come into a cafe and you've got 30 minutes to open. It's kind of that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's a really interesting way to put it. And there was one thing we realized the night before the compulsory round was that you were planning to use Pulsar brewers. So which are fantastic brewers and like pound for pound, probably like among the best brewers ever.
Yeah, one of the best.
Like, because you can take sort of any coffee and brew it a number of different ways. It's got dual functionality. You can do immersion, you can do percolation, and it's really, really great.
Yeah.
But we realized that one of the flaws of that brewer is that you actually you can't just pull a paper out and put another one in and brew again. That thing has to be cleaned. Because the way it's kind of like an AeroPress with an AeroPress paper. So you actually have to clean it. And we realized the night before, well, hang on, you've only got three brewers.
Yeah.
That's not going to work because you're not really able to clean them on stage.
Yeah.
So we had to change the night before to like just a percolation brewer.
Yep.
And so I was kicking myself for not realizing that sooner, because I know you would have made better brews using Pulsar.
I think after a competition, you can very easily get into that mindset of ifs and buts. Like, after the results were called, I thought about, and after looking at the score sheet, I thought, if I poured a little bit less here, or if I'd just done a little bit less here, then the mouthfeel would be better. There'd be 1 or 2 more points, and that'd be pushing us up to first place. But I think that you've got to take stock of the great results that we had, which I know that people might think that second place isn't great, but I was pretty chuffed to be there. First time competing and having you as a coach, it was just an amazing experience. And I think that you've got to take stock of I think that for you to compete for a long time and for you to have like a good kind of outlook, I think taking stock of what's good and what you did well, and taking all the things that you didn't do well, and then also harnessing them and moving them forward. Because I think that's something that you and I have done very well in terms of like how we work as a coach and like as a competitor. We've always been very civil with each other, and we're always very, honestly, just having a good time when we're working at these things.
Well, I would say that's probably like the number one sort of thing about our sort of partnership, I guess, is like we had fun every single time we caught up and did the training. It wasn't like a thing where we'd have a disagreement.
Yeah.
We both let each other cook on what we thought we were good at.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't want to prepare any other way. Like that's got to be one of the things that we sort of impart in people that listen to this, is that just make sure you have fun with it.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Become a better brewer. Just make sure you enjoy yourself, because statistically you're a low chance of winning in a subjectively judged competition, right? Like you're statistically a very low chance of winning just by entering.
Yep.
So if you're likely to not win, you don't want to beat yourself up over it, because it's like not entirely all in your hands, to be honest. Like, yes, there's better things you can do to win. Pick a good coffee, brew well.
Yeah.
But like the chances are you won't.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you have a good time and you learn something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's something we can both come away with, is like, well, actually, our pockets are just stuffed with good times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's all right. That's absolutely right. Yeah, and it's a coffee competition, and the focus of it is that you want to represent a farm, you want to represent who you work for. If you're independent, you want to go and you have a good time, you tell a good story, but also you go out and you help add to this community that we have. Like Melbourne's so lucky to have such an amazing coffee community, and regardless if you have a good result, if you don't have a good result, building the community around you is so important, and that's something that I think that the ASCA has done such a good job of with the new formatting and stuff like that. So many new competitors, so much like kind of fresh blood kind of coming in. It's been so good because it's kind of like the industry's building itself up even more, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's talk about ASCA a little, which is the Australian Specialty Coffee Association. So they're not actually a chapter of the SCA, but they're the, I guess, endorsed body in Australia.
Yeah.
And so when the nationals are held in Australia, we actually have to have SCA representatives come from overseas to sanction our competition. So it's, I just have to give my hat off to them because I think it was such a well-run season.
Yeah.
I think in previous years, they've really struggled to actually keep the competition going, but I think they've reformed in a lot of ways and built up new systems and taken a new approach to some things, which is a lot more sustainable.
Yeah.
And so and they really deserve credit for that because,
they do.
And starting with Bruno, who's the president of the Australian Specialty Coffee Association, he's a bit of an irate guy at times. He's a funny fella, but he's committed to running the competitions, and I think he's really changed his approach. Like he's reformulated. Like, all right, this way is going to run us and me into the ground. What can we do? Starting with the community coffee championships. That's like, all right, well now that's like a much better way of administering the competition, kind of supporting the community.
Yeah.
Because, it can't just be these tough things where only the best of the best win, the people with the biggest checkbooks win.
Yep.
Major ticks there. I think the venue this time was really good as well. They committed to streaming it so that I think he said like 14,000 people tuned in on the stream.
Yep.
Which is just fantastic because not everyone can travel. Australia's a huge country, like huge. It's if you're in Europe and you traveled from the West Coast, like the equivalent distance of the West Coast to the East Coast of Australia, you'd cross like 20 different countries.
Yep.
Australia is massive. And so not this way, people could tune in from around the world, around Australia. And I think like they deserve a lot of credit for that. Shout out to Jenna Bella.
Yep.
Who managed all of that. She did a fantastic job. Emmeline Giroux, who is on the ASCA board. They've all been on this podcast. And she also helped prepare David Flood.
Yeah. Managing this massive event while she's also helping coach a competitor.
Doing a lot there.
Yeah.
All the judges that, commit their time as well. For a volunteer run organization, I think they're just, in the last 2 years, I've just seen them elevate the administration of the whole thing, like how they administer the competition. So I thought we've got to make some time to talk about that.
Absolutely. And as a first time competitor going into that, I think a lot of people have heard kind of horror stories about what competitions can be like and personalities or kind of like the pressure cooker environment. But going into the regionals as my first time as a competitor, it was amazing because going into it without having any experience in the area, it was easy to understand where to go, what time to be where, how to do things. And the same thing went with nationals. In fact, I think nationals just kind of run like this amazing kind of train operation where everything was just ordered and like it was simple and allows the competitors to have structure, allows them to move and do what they need to do really well, but also allows people to enjoy it, like the people who are like the public to come in and enjoy it and like see this really great run kind of event in the coffee capital of Australia, right? Like, I mean, Melbourne has one of the best coffee scenes, so it kind of makes me proud that we've got such a great running organization putting on such an amazing event,
Yeah, and they're elevating as well. I think if there's organizations listening to this or someone that's the CEO of a company or whatever, and you want to support the community, sponsor ASCA. So you should do that because you really are supporting a community. And I think shout out to some of the companies that did this year. So Oatly, who's also sponsored this podcast.
Riverina.
Riverina Fresh.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of, organizations that are there consistently. I think it's Barista Suppliers, always there. So, huge shout out to them because they're supporting
Criteria Coffee.
Yeah.
One of my favorite roasteries in Melbourne.
Uncle Bruno, he was one of them.
Uncle Bruno, yeah.
There's so many. I couldn't name them all, but they all really supported the community this year and very worth commendation.
Absolutely.
Here on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I guess just to circle back to a point is like what to prioritize in a competition if you're a first time brewer. So I'll get you to read those out, Alex. What to prioritize if you're a first time competitor down the barrel? What should they prioritize?
So first thing and the second thing and the third thing are the coffee. So you need to make sure that you're getting a coffee that has an amazing amount of clarity in it. And it needs to help you with telling a story. You need to be able to really feel the coffee, understand where it comes from, and it has to be and it has to work with you for a routine that needs to be really easy to understand. As someone who's watched a lot of these routines and people who haven't competed, it's really important to have something that everybody can understand. We had a very complex idea for this routine. We had a lot of things we had to fit in. We had so much data, so many things that we had to reference. In fitting this into a routine where we're also brewing a coffee, it has to be like you have to Richard Feynman it. You have to really make it as simple as possible for everybody to understand. And that's what makes it really, really good. And then compulsory. Compulsory is the thing, right? Making sure that you prepare for your compulsory round, and you should do as much preparation in the time limits that you have for the day, because it's something that it's like the thing that we miss with the Pulsar brewer. It's a great coffee brewer. It's probably one of our favorite brewers, but it's something that you got to be prepared for everything, and you've got to be prepared for mistakes as well. Something that we talked about during routines is that always have spares. The Jack Simpson-esque always have a spare dose so that whatever happens, because something will happen. It's national, something will happen.
Yeah, well, just to contextualize that point you made, so Jack Simpson once had an incident on stage at a regional competition that I competed at where he actually spilled an espresso, and he looked at it. He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He wiped it up, quickly ran back, ground another dose, served it, said, "Pardon me," and then kept on with his routine. So he didn't falter one bit. And then won that competition. So
it's amazing.
Like the Jack Simpson rule, always pack a spare.
Always pack spares. Yeah.
Let's call that the Jack Simpson rule because it was legendary. And he beat me. He beat Anthony Douglas in that same competition.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Yeah. So another World Barista champion. So that was it was the best mistake turned into success in a competition I've ever seen.
And it just goes to show you can never be too prepared. That's something that's probably one of the biggest things. You can never be too prepared, and to make sure you have like support around you. I think that a lot of times when you have a competition, it's one person that's on stage that gets their name called out, or there's the top three that get called out. But around those people, there's a huge network of people that are supporting them every day. That like my partner, like my coach, yourself, the team at Project Zero. You've got to surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who support you, and you can also support them as well, because you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah, and that's another thing, right? Like if you're a barista working at a place where you're not feeling like you would be in a situation, like life's too short, go work somewhere else. I mean, it's not always easy, and I'm not saying like, get a job, it's your fault. Like if you're in a position where you feel like you can't be supported throughout your career the way you want to be, or you're not valued as highly as you should be, go get another job. And because there's always a place for you in the coffee industry. Like people love committed baristas or roasters who want to advance their career. So, I mean, the best thing you could do for your career is to go learn from some other people. You don't always want to be the best barista in the environment. Sometimes you want to be a sponge from others.
Yeah, so, you want to be the least experienced. And that's something that I felt when we when Project Zero started, is that I was surrounded by some of the best baristas I've ever met, like yourself. You're a man of many hats, but and you do all these things, but also like your coffee knowledge is amazing, and the people around you that you've also created this network as well. Create this amazing kind of area that like fosters a lot of the creativity, and people have the space to learn. I think that's really important. And not that everybody has the opportunity to kind of like drop what they're doing and move somewhere else. Obviously it's very complicated, but, and everyone's circumstances are very different, but yeah, you want to be around people who can support you and you can learn from and that also appreciate you and what you do.
Yeah, well, it's just like that. In one way, it's iron sharpens iron, and in another, it's just like the rising tide lifts all ships. It's being around that scenario is what's probably best for you as a competitor, and as a barista as well. What are some other things that we haven't listed down that you'd probably like to talk about, Alex? More? We don't get you on the podcast too often.
Yeah, no, I mean it's nice to be on the pod, to be honest.
You're a lot more serious on the podcast than you are in real life. You're an absolute. He's a silly pelican, ladies and gentlemen. We're like us two working together is just borderline stupid.
It's silly.
It probably shouldn't happen.
It's silly. This is the most amount of cohesive words we've said in a line.
Yeah,
it's usually nonsense, but
yeah. Our partners are both concerned that we're romantically feeling for each other,
which we're not.
Which we're not, but because we spend so much time together, at work and preparing for this, it's been a lot. But, you're a guy that you're very funny, you're very unserious.
I appreciate
but
that.
serious at the same time. The phone call actually for you to compete was really interesting. So I don't know how I didn't tell that story.
Oh yeah.
So basically, the way this all went down, Alex competing was this year. I had a few travel commitments that I wanted to do, and I just knew I'm not going to be able to compete because I'll be going to overseas a couple of times, but the ticket sales for Brewers Cup were coming up, and I saw the notification on my phone, and I was on a walk with my girlfriend, and so often she has to put up with it. I was like, hold on, I've got to call Alex. So I saw the ticket sales come. I was like, hey, do you reckon you would consider doing this? And then he said, oh, I'll message you in 10 minutes. And then you just wrote back, yes.
Yeah.
So
I was like, let's do it.
There was no other conversation prior to that ever.
No.
And then,
actually, I think I had one. I said, as long as you're my coach.
Okay.
I think that was the only condition.
Yeah. So and then I bought you the ticket, and we just started training, and it was a really good, screw it, let's just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But what, to your credit, once you did it, you really committed yourself to it, and
I appreciate that.
Having a smart approach as well. And again, going back to Jamie Thompson, having those people around you that so fundamentally understand the rules and what to tweak. For example, right? He watched your first run through back that we were talking about before this weekend.
Yep.
And we called him on the way home that night and said, hey, can you watch it and give us some feedback?
Yeah.
And he didn't just type a few notes.
No.
He analyzed, you're missing out on, what was it, 12 seconds?
Yeah, he timed things like when we had the lab coat that I put on and when I took it off, he timed how long it took and how much seconds it was that we lost, which is having someone like that in your corner is invaluable.
Yeah. And in that first run through, you went 6 seconds over time. So he calculated, where can I get those 6 seconds back? Things like that.
Yeah.
So again,
which is not a strength of mine. I mean, and it's something that I think that we have a good kind of working relationship in that we have really different strengths that work really well together and they complement each other. But then Jamie Thompson's on a whole different level in terms of the detail that he went through. I think a lot of his feedback from regionals was just amazing. Like the amount of detail he went to, you missed points here, and he put it into spreadsheets and
he's an incredible mind for coffee, and he's kind of he's very good at mathematics.
Yeah.
So, and I always imagine him as, if you've ever seen that scene in The Hangover where Alan's counting cards and there's all this algebra coming up, the graphics, that's Jamie Thompson.
It so is.
He's just that guy, and just makes it work.
Because he's just got that sparkling, he's got something going on there. He's just, it's always going.
Yeah. No, he's a very peculiar guy. We love him, and, I don't think we would have got as far throughout this unless we had someone like Jamie in our corner.
Oh, we probably wouldn't have made it to nationals without him.
Yeah. So again, if you're watching this and you're the competitor from Austria or something, or Trinidad or whatever country, and you're thinking, I want to coach for the World Brewers Cup, message Jamie Thompson.
Yeah. And he'll be there with bells on.
Yeah. Like it's well worth
Oh yeah,
well worth it.
and it's because he loves it. Like
Yeah.
he just loves it. Like there isn't a better example of someone who loves the coffee industry than him.
Yeah, no,
And he's really funny too.
Oh, he's very funny.
He's very funny, and he loves a good curry.
Loves his MBA. Oh, good curry. We went to Spice Mix after. Anyone who listens
yeah.
to this podcast knows Spice Mix is good.
Yeah.
I'm always talking about the Malai kofta, but we've got a new dish that's good. That's good there. The Spice Mix chicken.
Yeah, get yourself down to Spice Mix if you have time. If you're in Carlton,
Yeah, done that. But yeah, I kind of just took over my own question there. We're asked, is there anything you wanted to talk about? Was there anything you wanted to?
Oh no, I think that was good. I think that was good. I really enjoyed it. I think a lot of this comes down to the help you get from people around you is what I think was the biggest takeaway for me. Whether it's the coaching and whether it's your family around you, but also people in the industry. Everyone really bands together, even if you're competing against each other. Julian Markovic, he helped us out a lot. He deserves a shout out and the work that he does at Brew Methods is amazing. And the amount of help that people like Jay give us as well. It really just goes to show you that the industry in Melbourne and across the world for specialty coffee is really amazing. And that it just goes to show you that when you build other people up, you get a better result. Because I think Simon is a great example of that. And he won. He's come number one. He's going to take it to Brussels, and good luck to Simon. I think he'll do great. But he's done so much for the industry around him. It's really shows you that focusing on yourself isn't what gets you first place.
Yeah, Simon's an interesting guy because he's someone that's so I admire so much as a person as well as a coffee professional because he's so organized, right? If I am talking to him about something I'd like to do months down the track, he'll just instantly put it in his calendar. He knows how to use technology so well. He's so organized. And he also deals Pokemon cards and has been doing since a young age, which I just think is awesome.
Which I think is just a point in his favor because that's just sick.
That's just like a tick.
If you haven't watched that episode, you should watch that episode.
Yeah, and I just think he's the type of guy, he'll get his score sheets. He actually came to the cafe and tried your coffee the morning after he won because he just wanted to try it.
Yeah.
Then I was like, yeah, absolutely. But he'll get his score sheets. He'll break down exactly where he can get more points and just do it.
Yeah.
So, I've got full confidence in him, and I think he's a very good chance of being the World Brewers Cup champion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it May or June?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So really look forward to seeing how he progresses. One thing I actually wouldn't mind talking about before we sort of bump off is that we've got a new shop opening for Project Zero in a few months or a few weeks now actually.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting concept, and I'll probably release this podcast before the video comes out. But I did a video with Barista Hustle.
Yeah.
So Matt Perger and Jeremy Shallander a few weeks ago. That'll probably come out at some stage next week. But basically, what one of the hallmark features of this new shop will be is that we're pre-preparing espresso for milk coffee, so that it will be dosed out of taps. Essentially. So, and the blind tasting that we did, there were 4 people that were on the panel that did it, and we blind tasted coffee. All 4 of us scored the pre-prepared espresso higher.
Yep.
So this isn't having black coffee. This is just exclusively for milk coffee.
Yep.
So, and this new shop that we're opening is basically going to focus on all of that. So we'll have 4 different milk blends available. They'll all be served from taps. And it'll just be, extremely high quality. And we're going to be the first cafe in Melbourne with the Uber Milk Plus. So that'll do 4 different milks. But it's a really exciting and interesting concept for us because it's something that we've been working on for a while. And, I'm really looking forward to people being able to come and experience that because the time it takes from start to finish making a latte with weighing your dose and making it and stemming your milk and all that sort of stuff, it's close to a minute if you don't have any customers.
Yep.
With this new system, it'll be 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So
it's the future of coffee.
It's the future of coffee, and it tastes every bit as good. I think perception will be the challenge. So how will customers perceive just having a cup inserted under a tap, getting the dose, and then the milk automatically steamed, I think will be a bit of the biggest challenge.
Yep.
But in terms of flavor and delivery, it's all there.
Yeah.
So
I think Melbourne is one of the best places to try that though. I think that overwhelmingly people are so open-minded in Melbourne about coffee. And that's what I think that the first the first shop that you opened, is a great example of that, and it really paved the way for this new idea of that doing co-fermented coffees. People are really open-minded, and they really enjoy it. Moving into pre-prepared espresso, I think that people are going to really understand it, because if you inform them and if you're open about it and you talk about it with them, people love it.
Well, the interesting angle on this as well is like coffee shops' biggest cost is labor, right? And it's also the biggest challenge. Like, you know, people might listen to this and think, well, you're taking people's jobs away. Like, dude, there's not enough baristas to fill the amount of jobs that there are here. And in Australia, part of that is like strict visa laws. Like, we can't actually get the labor we need because there's not enough Australians that want to be a barista.
Yeah.
But like, you know, these shops will be so much more profitable because you think about it, and like, you know, maybe this isn't what machine manufacturers want to hear, but like your startup costs, if we had like 10 cafes, for example, would be like tens of thousands of dollars less per shop because you don't need as much equipment and because you make it from one centralized location and distribute it to others. So it's an extremely exciting concept that, you know, you and I have been working on in the shop for quite a while. We've been doing it for a year and a half. So we, you know, if you've been to Project Zero in the last year and a half, the chances are we've made you a coffee out of what we call the sauce. So we'll pre-prepare the espresso, put it in a sauce bottle, and you just weigh out 20 grams, put milk on top. You wouldn't ever know. So
Stone cold.
Yeah. So Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is what we call it.
That's another one. But yeah, it's super exciting, and I just wanted to sort of chirp him with that towards the end, because that's something that I've been working on for quite a while, and it's kind of good to know that the shop's been delayed a lot, which has been frustrating. But that's finally come together.
It looks good though. It's really, really good.
It does look good, and come end of the year, it'll be ready and people can come try it. So,
which is going to be amazing.
So
and I think that we'll be using things like waved technology to make sure that we'll be preserving the coffee after it's prepared as well, which also we use that in comp as well. Like the wave technology is amazing in that it's like for people who don't know, it was originally designed as like a water filtration or water cleaning device. That now, when applied to coffee, it makes coffee taste really good and allows it to last for a long time. So using things like that for all this pre-prepared espresso is going to make this coffee like last a long time and taste even better, and you'll get it faster. So I mean, who doesn't want that, right?
It's super exciting to know that this is finally coming about, and you know, we've been supported by Barista Group. So Joe from Barista Group, who's the importer for Uber Milk in Australia, who coincidentally also now sponsor this podcast. They also supply the things like the Maki Bar Zaga grinder, which we'll be using there as well. So it's going to be a hyper fast, hopefully delicious experience for everyone. Blending of new technologies together, and it's kind of to my knowledge, a bit of a world first. There's Chris from Beta Coffee who's done a little bit of this as well, but he's been to the shop and we've tried it with him. So yeah, looking forward to implementing this and seeing how Melbourne enjoys it.
For the coffee city that loves to drink it.
We love it. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes now, so we might
that's pretty good.
Might wrap it up. The Chiefs and Dallas Cowboys game will have ended, so I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on here today, being a great friend, great employee, and an excellent partner for these barista competitions. I had so much fun, and look forward to doing it again, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, well, same goes to you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the pod as well. This is really fun. Feels really fun. Yeah, it's really good.
It just feels right.
It just feels good. So, yeah.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up there, folks. Thanks to our sponsors again, Barista Group, Timor. So, we use Timor kettles and scales in the routine as well.
Yeah.
So, Timor, they provide kettles, scales, grinders.
Which, by the way, one of fast becoming probably my favorite kettle.
Yeah.
Like the pouring spout is just amazing.
Yeah, the fish kettle.
Oh, amazing.
The variability of flow works really well. So, big love to Timor.
Yeah.
Who really supported us with gear for this competition. So Kevin, love you.
Yeah.
And then as well, Oatly. So they sponsored the barista competitions this time around, but also we use their products at the shop. So we use their underrated product is their oat cream. So we use it in our matcha, our oat matcha. So without it, it just tastes papery and kind of astringent and crap. That's not saying, oatmeal brownie is crap, but when you add the cream, it gives it, that volume and all those things. I used to make curries at home as well. So shout out to Oatly, some of the best sponsors in the game. We'll wrap it up there, folks. Thanks for listening. Hooroo, mate.
Hooroo, mate.
Hooroo, mate.